an undervalued company, a company that we don't even know is going to scratch the surface yet. Origin Oil. Riggs Eckelberry, part of our Small Caps, our People 2 segment that we do here, where we follow a publicly traded company around from inception to fruition, and we've watched this company for the last year go from being sort of a single platform mentality to a multiple platform mentality, breakthrough water cleanup technology for oil and gas and for algae wastewater management, as well as aquaculture. Riggs Eckelberry joins us from their corporate studios up in Los Angeles, California. Are you guys in LA? Am I accurate about that, Riggs? Is it Los Angeles? Is it?
Yeah, we're way north of you in mid-city Los Angeles.
Yeah, it is. That's which is a tough place to live. I understand. I understand that you have to have.
You know what happens outside of our doors, we just don't want to know.
Yeah, that's good. Well, good morning, Riggs Eckelberry. And first of all, let's do a quick review since we picked up a whole pile of TV audience in a bunch of new cities. Why don't you give our elevator pitch and exactly what Origin Oil does, and then tell us what you have for us today.
Well, very simply, we're a pure technology company with a breakthrough in how to separate contaminants from huge amounts of water. And it started with a beneficial contaminant, which is algae, which people turn into fuel and food and so forth. And then we learned that we could also pull the contaminants out of frack water and organic waste like pig farms and so forth. And so, as you say, that's how our central technology has turned into a platform for multiple applications.
The interesting part of this thing is the multiple applications part. And I know that you guys had it in your back pocket from the very beginning, but for the rest of us following the company, you went from, I know it was always an algae play, but it went from sort of an oil and gas play on the algae side and the wastewater side, and now it's a full-blown turning into everything, including feeding the world. Why don't you expand on that a little bit and tell us what you have for us today, Riggs?
Well, first of all, Sully, we did not have it in our back pockets the whole time. We were rapidly...
So I gave you the idea then.
Oh, okay.
We have that on national television and on radio. So in the future when it serves me. Well, you guys, listen, your mad scientist brother, the chief inventor there, and yourselves, did you really not have any idea how far this was going to go? Boy, I believe you say that, but boy, it's such a robust technology. At some point, maybe you just didn't think about it yet. But you guys have 5 or 6 platforms now, where it appeared that you had one in the very beginning, and that's, boy, for any business, that's a home run.
Yeah, well, you know, the key is obviously to constantly experiment, and we have an incredibly innovative team headed by my brother, as you say, with some strong engineering background, and it's just worked out that we're constantly narrowing the focus, tightening things up, and learning how we can really help change the way water is managed in the world, especially with this petroleum situation, where you have enormous shortages happening in Texas and California and elsewhere.
Sure, right, exactly. What's the so what's the latest? You have a lot of big things coming up here in the next couple months, Riggs, especially with testing and with demonstrating. What is the next I guess big milestone for you guys as far as showing the public what you guys have to offer?
Well, I've been talking about this oil and gas showcase we plan to put on in California. This is now a scoop for your audience only, but this is actually next week we'll be talking officially about expanding it to California, Colorado, and Texas in what we're calling the 1,000 barrel a day roadshow.
Wow, 1,000 barrel a day roadshow.
That's right. That's right. We have a machine that is able to demonstrate in a pretty compact footprint the ability to clean 1,000 barrels a day, which is pretty much the minimum that oil operators want to see. So now we have scale. We're going to be touring, and I've got some photos of a Texas site, which I'm not going to discuss in specifics right now because it's part of next week's announcement. But this is a wonderful site in Houston.
Oh yeah, it says yeah. There you go. They're out of Texas. There's for a radio audience, we're looking at facilities. We're looking at outdoor. You have and there's that looks like a big oil rig out there, Riggs. And is that a fracking sort of cleanup operation?
Correct. So this is actually a training environment with a full rig and cleanup facilities and so forth. An ideal place. It's sparkling clean, yeah. Beautiful facility. They're extremely excited, profitable company, et cetera. I think this is going to, could well be our site in Houston, which would be very exciting.
Yeah, I'll say, and this is sort of the model that we talked about earlier, Riggs, about the licensing model, where a place like this can take your technology and use it. Is that accurate?
Unquestionably. In fact, in oil and gas, we're not, whereas in places like algae and aquaculture, we're actually selling demonstration units to prove the technology because these are, new environments. In oil and gas, they know all about water cleanup, And they want to just to go straight to license. So we don't sell units
Right.
at all in oil and gas. It goes straight to licensing.
And the licensing technology, pardon me, is very similar to the Dolby, where you're not making sticks and bricks. You're just licensing the invention.
It's really, and I call it a software model where you worry more about, being ripped off. How do you distribute innovation? How do you transfer the technology so it doesn't end up broken at the other end? These are all more a software kind of activity, which I'm very accustomed to.
Yeah, very good. The Riggs, I want to keep you over the break here for a second, but what I want to talk about when we come back is sort of the thing we talked about last week, and that's actually feeding the world. This is something sort of a new thing. The algae extraction model has now turned into algae pellets, and to kind of watch how a company goes from being a wastewater, I shouldn't say wastewater, but electro water separation company in the oil and gas space, all the way to now where there's a possibility where there's selling algae as a commodity to feed. We'll talk about that in just a second. Also, Freddie Saxon's going to join us with the Business of Hollywood. That's all coming up just a few minutes. It's the Big Biz Show. BigBizShow.com is our website. You can follow us on Twitter at Big Biz Radio. Origin Oil, stock symbol OOIL. Their website, originoil.com. More of Riggs Eckelberry and the CEO of Origin Oil. And just in the meantime, Riggs Eckelberry, CEO of yet another public company, Origin Oil, stock symbol OOIL is their stock symbol. Breakthrough Water Technology. Riggs, let's talk about feeding the world here, because you sort of broke something on the show a couple of weeks ago about these algae. This algae extraction has turned into sort of a commodity play as part of your business. You want to explain that to us? Do we have Riggs?
Absolutely, you do.
There we go. All right. So unwind that for us.
Exactly. So I put up on screen, instead of my smiling face, a sneak preview of a presentation we're making in Seville in May at the European Algae Biomass Association. And basically, I'm going to just go real fast through a couple slides only, but there's the big shortage in animal feed, mounting losses for livestock farmers. Of course, climate change isn't helping. You've got the feed competing with food, with corn and soybean prices up over 300%, droughts happening.
So this bodes well for any sort of a feed-like commodity, doesn't it?
It's certainly a commodity boom, bull market for commodities, but it's really terrible for the underlying producers, and also the consumer price costs in Asia, for example, are starting to take off. So you see the marketing year price right there.
Sure.
Now, because quality of life is improving, demand for animal products.
Right.
You've got this graph I showed you before where farm fish is taking off like crazy.
And farm fish feeds on algae.
Well, it needs to. It's usually fed things like other fish or soy, which is terrible.
And that's the problem, is it's swimming in this garbage that you can. So you guys can not only clean up the water that they're swimming in, you can also take what you pull out and feed them actual algae as opposed to them feeding on each other.
Bingo. So this is how algae can help.
Wow.
Just a couple slides here. More nutritious. You can use up to 60% in animal feed. It uses a tiny percentage of land. This is the solution.
The long story short is that you guys are now entering into not just a licensing play here, Riggs. This is a whole new business model, an economic revenue model for you guys. Have you guys extrapolated? I know you can't talk about that as far as raw numbers because you're publicly traded and it's a projection. But have you guys extrapolated that out yet, or are you still just kind of dipping your toe into this water?
Well, remember that we remain a licensor, but what's happening is in China, Korea, Japan, in Europe, throughout the world, really, we're running into very aggressive companies that want to grab algae and put it to work immediately to improve nutrition worldwide and to solve this big barrier. If commodity prices are rising that fast, this is a huge opportunity. So what we're doing is getting the technology out to these operators, proving it works, and of course we'll get the licensing revenue.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. Do me a favor. Don't get comfortable in that office. I want you in the studio next week. All right?
Yes, sir.
I know you're happy and there's a perfect couch there. Riggs Eckelberry, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Riggs Eckelberry, Origin Oil, originoil.com, their stock symbol OOIL. Exciting company. This is why we do small caps for people too, and this is why I don't cover very many of them. Because there's a company that happens to be trading on a smaller exchange, but is doing some unbelievable things there. So, and you're going to see a Big Biz Show special just about their oil and gas separation and the aquaculture separation coming up here in the next few months to come here on Big Biz Show.